Hong Kong. Welcome to the Triplers channel. Join us as we set off on a once-in-a-lifetime journey around the world. Over the next 133 days, we will visit 4 continents and make 55 stops across 27 countries. We are approaching Hong Kong, a city as layered and full of contrasts as the Chinese philosophy of yin and yang. It is not easy to define exactly what Hong Kong is. It is not a country because it is officially part of China, a special administrative region. Yet since 1997, when it passed from British administration back to China, the principle of one country, two systems has remained in place. That means Hong Kong is part of China, but unlike other Chinese cities, it has its own currency, the Hong Kong dollar, its own tax system, economic regulations, and separate border controls. Home to around 7.5 million people, it reminds me strongly of New York. We invite you to join us in trying to understand this complex city, a place that feels like a hard nut to crack. Hong Kong is best known as one of the world's leading financial centers, home to global banks, investment funds, and the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Its port has for many years remained one of the most important container ports in the world. The service sector is highly developed, tourism plays a major role, and most manufacturing has gradually moved to mainland China. Our ship docked at Ocean Terminal, located right in the heart of the city. Directly from the terminal, you step into Ocean Center, a huge commercial complex filled with shops and luxury boutiques. And the first thought that came to mind was this: people in Hong Kong clearly have a strong appreciation for European brands. Gucci, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton logos seem to be everywhere. Unfortunately, admiration for European brands does not always translate into warmth towards Europeans themselves. I do not want to sound overly critical, but after traveling through several other Asian countries, nowhere else did I feel such distance and emotional reserve as I did here. If you are curious about the rather unpleasant exchange I experienced, let us know in the comments and I will describe it there. We were very eager to try something local and eventually found ourselves in Shanghai Lao Lao, located in the lower level of Ocean Center, the same building we had just walked through. We were hungry enough to order what could easily have fed 10 people. It turned out to be excellent food, served with remarkable speed and genuine courtesy. Even the people sitting next to us were in great spirits, which definitely improved our first impressions of the city.
谢谢.
In the morning, we headed to the clock tower, where we met our guide, who had only a few hours to show us some of the most interesting places in Hong Kong. We began with the Peak Tram, one of the city's most iconic attractions. It is one of the oldest funicular railways in Asia, operating since 1888, and in some sections, it climbs at a remarkably steep angle. The ride to Peak Tower takes less than 10 minutes. At the top, you will find restaurants, cafes, and souvenir shops. But the main attraction is Sky Terrace, 428 meters above sea level. From there, you can admire the panorama of what is often called the vertical city, a name Hong Kong has earned because of its skyline dominated by extremely tall buildings. To save time, we traveled down from the peak by car, passing luxury boutiques on one side and traditional Chinese stalls on the other. Our next stop was Man Mo Temple, one of the oldest temples in Hong Kong, built in 1847. It is dedicated to 2 deities: Man, the god of literature and learning, and Mo, the god of war. Inside, the temple is filled with half light, the scent of incense, and a quiet layer of drifting smoke. It feels unexpectedly mystical, a place where people still come to pray, surrounded on all sides by modern high-rise buildings. I tried to stay quietly to one side, not to disturb those who were praying, while taking in the Chinese lanterns, the giant spiral incense coils hanging from the ceiling, and the remarkable energy of the place. As we drove towards our next stop, we kept looking out of the window, trying to understand the city a little better, its scale, its rhythm, and the way it is built. Then suddenly, we arrived at Lin Nunnery, a Buddhist temple complex built entirely of wood. It is especially known for the fact that not a single nail was used in its construction. Instead, the buildings were assembled using traditional Chinese joinery based on classical woodworking techniques. Wooden halls, lotus ponds filled with fish, and small fountains create an almost surreal image, especially when surrounded by ultra-high residential towers rising all around it. It takes only a short walk across the street to reach Lian Garden, designed according to the philosophy of spatial harmony in the style of the Tang Dynasty. Although it looks timeless, the garden is relatively young and was officially opened in 2006. One of its most charming spots for photographs is Pavilion of Absolute Perfection. The entire garden feels like a place created for slowing down, somewhere to rest, enjoy the greenery, and simply relax for a moment, away from the intensity of the city. On the way to our next stop, it is worth noticing one of Hong Kong's strongest social contrasts. Around 45% of the population lives in public housing supported by the government, simply because buying a private apartment in this city is beyond the reach of many residents. And yet, at the same time, the number of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces on the streets remains among the highest in Asia. Then we arrived at Ladies' Market, and suddenly it felt as if the entire visual setting of the city had changed. This 1-kilometer street market in Mong Kok reminded me of Krakow just after the fall of communism. You can buy almost anything here. Sellers are open to bargaining, and of course, cash still rules. As a small souvenir from this place, we bought a Rubik's Cube for Alex. Just nearby, we found a very unusual restaurant, hidden upstairs and reached only by lift. Beauty in the Pot. Intriguing name, isn't it? I am not sure whether we left more beautiful, but certainly wiser after another memorable local experience. At first, we struggled to understand the concept of the restaurant. After some discussion, we ordered broth with meat additions. At first glance, the soup looked surprisingly simple, but very quickly we realized that the real experience had only just begun. Included in the price was access to a self-service section where all ingredients could be selected independently. Very pleased with myself, I filled a plate with beautiful potatoes, only to discover they were completely raw. Of course, we should have understood earlier. All ingredients, both meat and vegetables, were meant to be cooked directly in the hot pot, placed in the middle of the table, slowly building the flavor of the broth. And honestly, it turned out to be a fantastic experience. We paid per person and could eat as much as we wanted. Coffee, desserts, sauces, waffles, ice cream, everything was included, and it felt almost impossible to try it all. It had been a long time since I had seen ingredients this fresh and this beautifully prepared. Even if I understood only perhaps 20% of what I was looking at, it did not stop me from admiring it. Next to our table stood glass carafes filled with extra broth, ready to refill the pot whenever needed. My husband, however, mistook one of them for green tea and calmly drank it from a cup. Well, these are exactly the moments you remember the longest. After returning to the port, we decided to take one more walk near the clock tower, the last remaining part of the former Kowloon railway station, once the southern terminus of the Kowloon Canton Railway. The entire station was demolished in the 1970s, but the tower, built in 1913 from red brick and granite, was preserved after strong public protests. Today, it remains one of the city's most popular meeting points, where locals still arrange to meet beneath its historic clock. Walking along the Tsim Sha Tsui waterfront offers one of the most iconic views of Hong Kong Island, especially in the evening, when the Symphony of Lights begins across the harbour. We leave Hong Kong still curious about this remarkable city, with its impressive skyscrapers and the narrow, hidden spaces between them that few choose to show. After so many intense impressions, we are glad to sail toward Vietnamese Ha Long, a place of calm waters and quiet greenery.
Repellers, like, subscribe and hit the bell if you want to support us and see more quick travel reviews.